Hello, hello, good morning, and welcome to Sip the Tea. I am joined this morning by the absolutely delightful CL Polk, author extraordinaire. Hello, Chelsea. It's so good to have you back. Thanks for joining us.
It's so good to be back, and I noticed when I was looking at the email invitation that it's been probably close to a year.
It's been close to a year. It has, absolutely. At least a year, I think, since we
But
did anything lengthy.
yeah, I mean, not by much. It was also January.
Which was it? Oh, all right. Wow. Good. Well then, absolutely. Oh, good morning. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. We've got Skeleton Key Books is here. I'm so happy you managed to join us as well. Thanks for being here. So it's been a year, which is like a perfect capsule of time to talk about what you've been up to since then. Because last time we were talking about your most recent book, even though I knew the end. We were talking about your Kingston trilogy, which is such a wonderful set of books. But you've got something on the horizon, I think.
Yes, I last year when we were talking, I had said that I was working on a book, but I had to keep it a secret, and the secret is out. And like, I don't remember. We talked a lot about the Fae when we were
Yes,
in our last
yes.
sip of tea. And so I can talk about my book. I have a new book. It's called The Feywild Job. It is set in the Feywild,
So
in the D&D
exciting.
Forgotten Realms setting.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Really, for all of our D&D nerds, this is
Yes.
wonderful.
And
So,
so
is this a partnership with Wizards of the Coast? Or is
Wizards
this
of the
your
Coast,
own?
Wizards of the Coast sent me an email asking me if I would like to write a romantasy set in the Feywild, in the D&D world. And I just kind of like, girlies, it's happening.
That is,
Because
look, I'm grabbing the link right now for everyone so you can pre-order this book. I'm so excited. This is amazing.
it's like, and I had to keep it a secret for like 17 months and 8 days. I couldn't tell anybody what I was doing. I was like, I'm writing a book and it's IP and I can't tell you anymore. And of course, when you say that, people will guess what IP it is
Yes.
that you're writing for. What
Yes.
IP are you writing for? I bet it's, and then they will tell you. And it's like, I can't actually give you an answer. I can't tell you if you're right or if you're wrong or whatever. You should probably just write it down on an envelope and then you can be like, I was right when
Did
the time actually comes.
did you have any buddy present guesses to you that were like so wild and so out of left field that were like particularly charming to you? Like,
Um,
I don't know.
I
You are
had one
doing a
friend who
Blake
was
Seven tie-in or something wild like that.
I had one friend who was absolutely convinced I was writing a Star Wars book. They were pretty sure it was Star Wars, and I was thinking to myself, but why would they get a fantasy writer to write a Star Wars book? Like
Right.
that doesn't like it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, it was like it's a Star Wars book. Somebody else was like, is it like did is it a Trek book? Do they even do Trek books anymore? And I'm like, I don't know. Um and it's like, is it for Doctor Who? And I
Oh,
can't say anything.
oh,
And
oh my
then
gosh. Well, and our friend Cheshire. Hello, Cheshire. Good morning. Is playing Feywild right now. Cheshire, you're going to have to read this book. The link is just up comments. Please, please, pre-order. So I know that you are a geek and a nerd because we've talked multiple times.
mhm.
Were you a D&D player? Was this like, I get to write for a thing that I grew up cutting my teeth on.
I can calculate they go in my head.
Oh my god. No, that's
I
old school.
I started with when they called it advanced Dungeons and Dragons, like the big ugly statue thing on the Dungeon Master's Guide, and like the you could, if you rolled an 18 strength, you had to roll a percentile to find out if you had like a certain degree of heroic strength, and they capped female characters' heroic strength at 50. They couldn't get any higher. It was 18/50, and that was it. um I played when, in order to be a bard, you had to be a thief for a certain number of levels, and you had to be a ranger for a certain number of levels before you could become a bard. And so, of course, I never did it because nobody ever runs a campaign for enough levels for somebody to become a bard. But I really wanted to. Um, and then we got the second edition books, and it was just kind of like everybody was a little bit stuck in their book. Our books are fine, they're great. Pay no
Yeah.
attention to the incredibly racist adventure module books that they have. Just don't look at those. Um, but I think probably my most memorable campaign was near the first one, when me and my boyfriend and a couple of friends got together to start playing the Temple of Elemental Evil campaign, and we made it all the way through. But as we were making it all the way through, that inevitable thing happens where you say something about the game in front of somebody else and they say, hey, are you running D&D? Can I come? So we started at
Oh.
the table with 3 players and we ended at the table with 9 players.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But absolutely. I mean, that experience is so real, especially if you're in a community. Well, and in the past, we didn't have things like the ether webs to help us find each other, or like so many cool game stores where you could pop in and find a group. It was rare and difficult to find a group. And once you found
Yes.
anyone, you kind of like needed to latch on, right?
Yes, and I mean, it's kind of still that way, right? Where it's like now we are old and we have all of the books, and we can't actually get a time where all 5 of us can get together and do whatever because we have our boring adult lives getting in the way of our free time. Whereas,
Right?
you know, I
No.
think we were 18, we didn't need to sleep, we didn't need to eat anything but Cheetos, so we could just play D&D, it didn't matter.
Oh my gosh. Now, all right. You brought up snacks, and in your books, you
Mhm.
write beautifully about food. I mean, it's something I really adore about your writing, and the panoply of things I adore about your writing. You you do nail food. But you just brought up Cheetos and D&D. And so I
Yeah.
need to know, as someone who loves your food descriptions and knows that you are a foodie, what is your like pinnacle D&D snack, the thing you feel like makes every D&D session like the most perfect?
So when I play D&D now, um and like it's different, right? Because we're adults, and it's like when I go to a D&D session now, what happens first is potluck dinner. We eat
Mm,
dinner. We eat a nice hot meal, and then we clear that off, and then the snacks come on. And I have to admit that my thing is to get a little bowl and put like puffy cheesies in it, like cheese pleasers or cheese Cheetos puffs. I don't know what they call them. Um, in a little bowl, and then I will sit there and I will eat them with chopsticks so that I don't
with
get cheese dust on
chopsticks.
my fingers.
Why you don't want the cheese dust on your character sheet or your dice? I mean, it goes everywhere, doesn't it?
It
It's
does, it does.
finishes.
But
Oh
the
my gosh.
the the chopsticks idea is just, it's just genius because like it's just so much easier, and it's also kind of silly, and I appreciate silliness.
Absolutely. Well, it's silliness. Look, silliness pairs very well with a good D&D session because sometimes you do get into these like very fraught experiences, but you're there to play and have fun. So the silliness is a really good like com companion. But I also think we're in a world where like silliness is so key because everything is dreadfully serious and heavy outside of these little spaces we create for ourselves. So, yeah, like long live the chopsticks and the Cheetos. Absolutely.
Yes,
Who knew that they could be like so revolutionary?
and yeah, and there's all kinds of things like I never thought about this, but like I cannot live without my little dice tray now, because now it's not like, when I roll dice, I don't have to like be like, whoa, what if some of them rolls off the table? Because I just roll a tray, they just hit the side. It's so great. Um, but I just I just kind of appreciate gaming, and the thing is that one of the perks of the job when you write a D&D book is, of course, they want to make sure that you have all of the research materials. I have what they call God access to D&D Beyond
Oh,
forever.
oh, that's such a
Every
beautiful perk.
every single book. I have access to every single book, and I will always have access to every single book. I'm like, I could run like the most wicked campaign.
Absolutely. Now, look, I I was already excited because I love your books, and I'm like, oh, a new book coming out. I have to put out my pre-orders. I'm now I'm going to love it. But so many of us, including myself, so many of our friends here on in the chat are D&D players themselves. Cheshire, I think, is summing it up for a lot of us, jaw on the floor.
Right?
Um,
I
right.
was I had to go look something up fairly recently. I had to go look something up, and so I went to D&D Beyond, and I went to like source books, and I wanted to look something up specifically in one of the Feywild adventures, and I'm not going to tell you the detail that I was looking for, just in case you haven't played the Feywild adventure in D&D Beyond. And I was like looking, and I was like, what is Astarion's book of oh, oh. When they say all the books, they mean all the books. They mean all the books. I get all the books. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so now my question for you, because we're just going to go down this rabbit hole a little bit.
Right? Yes.
What is your favorite class to play?
Mm.
Or are you one of those people who you like, I play all the things?
I I spent I've had many a campaign where I play the cleric,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And at first, because the thing is that when we were first playing D&D, like there wasn't really a lot of like role playing so much as it was like we would go to a tavern and maybe somebody would get into a fist fight, and then it was off to the next dungeon, right? To go and like, steal somebody else's stuff that was probably also stolen, to keep the circle of stealing alive. And and so there were people who just, they didn't want to play the cleric, the person who for many levels basically memorized cure light wounds times 3. And that's all they did, right? But I did that a lot. I played cleric a lot. I tried playing paladin, but it feels a little bit ineffective at first level, because
Mhm.
like you don't have access to like any of your cool, specifically power and powers. So you're just some dude in a tin can with a stick. Um and so it was a little bit frustrating to be like that. But that was fourth edition, I think, was when I played that paladin. um Fifth edition is different. The like and the thing is that when I knew I was going to do this and I first got access to D&D Beyond, it was the 2014 books, but they were like, slow your roll. The 2024 edition is coming out in September. It's like, okay, 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 okay. And then, but I was like, oh, well, I'll just make a character kind of idea. put my character sheets together for my main characters. And then 2024 rolled around and I was like, oh, cheapers, there's all this stuff I have to change because they couldn't be legacy. They had to be current to the material.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh,
And so like things are different, right? Because they got rid of like half elves and half orcs.
mhm.
Um, and for the first little while, like I was like, okay, well, because I wanted to deal with a half elf character because I had this character background that I needed for Sheldian, my warlock, who basically was maybe had some ideas about how like love is terrible and you should never do it. um and part of that of course was their background where they were born, and to explain it, Sheldian says, my mother is human, her husband is human, and then just waits because like they're a half elf and say, oh, oh no, right? And so, not really a very good experience of love. And that's like really important to their character and their
Yeah,
character arc, and also really
yeah,
important to their power because they were picked up at just the right time to make a bargain with an archfey patron. And I kind of had this thing and I like ran it by Wizards of the Coast where I was like, I think probably like when you have your patron, they have their own particular flavor. Because like I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 like everybody else.
yes.
And like Will is very definitely a fiend patron warlock. And like so there's like the really long, complicated, complex written contract that like conveniently covers every loophole in the fiend's favor and all of that stuff. And I was like, I don't really think that an archfey would do that. I think they would make a bargain. And so I had this archfey make a bargain with a child who was not having a very happy life as a little kid.
Yeah.
Um, and so, and then I was like, we're not gonna have half elves. I'm like, my reasoning is destroyed. Like this sucks. What do I do? And then we're like, well, no. I mean, you can still have a half elf, but we don't call them half elves anymore. So now Sheldian is what the books call an elf human. And
Okay.
and like that's how it goes. And like my adventuring party is Sheldian, the elf human, archfey patron warlock, and Jubilee, the tiefling rogue thief class.
Oh my gosh, the way I cannot wait to make literally everyone I know who plays D&D also read your book. To be honest, I now have like this huge list of people I know need to know about this book because they are going to eat it up with a spoon. And already I'm loving the comments over here too. Cheshire in with like a lot of wonderful reactions to your description. Um, but like it's so juicy and it's so fun. And for people who love role playing, there is this huge overlap with fantasy fiction. Either
Mhm.
you go from fantasy fiction into the D&D world or vice versa, but there's going to be this relationship. And I think famously, Raven Feist, I don't from a million years ago. Young people may never have heard of him. It's all right. He was a
It's the deep
fantasy
lore
author
from long ago.
so long ago. He made fantasy novels based on his D&D campaigns with his chums, but they weren't like sponsored in conjunction with Wizards of the Coast. It was his own thing. And
They filed of serial numbers.
yes, really like heavy filing. So we've seen some of that, but a different era. And I don't want to be too shady to Mr. Feist. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a lovely gentleman. But it's really fun in this era with the sort of advancements in how we can talk about fantasy and the pushing both on D&D and on fantasy fiction to be more thoughtful about intersections of identity. And you're an author who is extremely thoughtful about these things. And I don't mean that as some sort of like lip service or like banality, but your characters in all of your fantasy novels, they really have these complex, beautiful, juicy intersections of personality. And for you to bring that to D&D, I'm just like, oh, I'm salivating at the opportunity to read it. So that wasn't a question. That was more me fangirling over the fact that you have written this novel and it's coming. How exciting. If
Yeah, and because of the secrecy, of course, by the time we announced, it's like publication is almost upon us. It's coming out on the 30th of June. I
yes.
literally have the page proofs sitting on my hard drive right now. Like everything is going so quickly. Um, so yeah, it's going to be there. One of the things that I said when I was in the initial meeting talking about whether or not we thought that this would actually be a good fit is I said, like, I personally like love D&D and I love the nerdiness of it all and I love like the rules and the world and the this and the lore and the that and the blah. And I was like, but I want to try as much as I can to make a book that somebody who actually doesn't know the game or the world like be able to read it and enjoy
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
and stuff. So I like tried to do that. I was like trying to write a book where it's like if you didn't know D&D, that's okay. You can read the book and it's all right. But if you know D&D or if you've played BG3, there are things in there that you're going to recognize and be like, "Oh, Lathander, I know who that is." Right? "Oh,
Oh,
Waterdeep. I know like basically what Waterdeep is all about, right?"
so exciting. Yeah.
And that kind of a thing. So there's going to be like the familiarity for people who actually do know the setting um and then for people who don't know the setting or the world or the rules or whatever, then they can just read about like Sheldian, my archfey patron warlock, who is like very much like they have like I wrote their character sheet so that they have like alter self at will all day long.
Oh, oh,
I and it was funny because when I was writing the character sheets for these characters, I wasn't really thinking too hard about like, well, how are they going to be like the most like muscular in a fight kind of thing. I was thinking about what would fit with their characters and what they would like to do and what they would like to be able to do. And the thing with Sheldon is that they pretty much specialize in the enchantment school of music magic and the illusion school of magic. Like those are the abilities that they get from their archfey patron. And um and so they have the ability to alter self at will. And for anybody who doesn't know D&D, this is a reasonably high level spell where it isn't just that you are wearing an illusion of looking like someone, your body actually changes. um so if you're using disguise self, then you look like this person, but it is an illusion. You haven't actually changed anything about yourself. What Sheldian does is that they change their body to do what they want, and they have the perfect accessory, because when I was looking around for like magic items and stuff, and I didn't really give them, like, I didn't want to load them down with like an entire target full of like magic items. So Sheldian has this armor that is always like +1 leather armor, but they can make it look however they want it to look. And I was just kind of like, at this point, Sheldon is happy, very happy. And like, what do they need beyond that? A friend's cantrip to convince people to give them all of their money? Yeah, let's go. And so off I went, right? But the thing is that Sheldon's story was that many years before she didn't sorry, they didn't live in Waterdeep. They didn't live in Waterdeep. They lived in Baldur's Gate. And while they were in Baldur's Gate, they had a partner where they would do like, they were con artists and burglars. And so they originally were like stealing like lots of stuff. And then they got into like more complicated operations until they became a famous burglary team. And they stole a big like artifacty treasure, like straight out of a noble house's house in the upper city. They stole it. And it was the
Ooh.
big score, right? It was the big score. They never have to work again. They could like go away, hang out in Candlekeep or whatever. They could go up to Silvery Moon if they felt like it. But what they were really going to do was they were going to try and search for a way back into the Feywild, because Sheldia's partner, Cal Redsong, who is a College of Glamour bard, was the baby somebody gave up in a fairy bargain to get what they wanted. So they literally gave away their firstborn for whatever it was that they wanted. And like, Phil doesn't know who his human parents were, and it doesn't matter. He got picked up by a fairy and taken to the Feywild, and that's where he was a baby. That's where he was a child. And but um like they were in a pretty small domain, not really attached to like the Seelie or the Unseelie court, and like a little bit isolated, and that basically made them vulnerable to a piece of background lore that I got to make up about somebody who wanted to eat domains to like add to their power. And they attacked Kel's childhood home, Sandrin's Rest. And in the midst of the battle, which they were clearly losing, Kel's father opened a way out of the Feywild into Faerun and just shoved him in it and said, "We will come back if we can come back." And nobody came back. And so naturally, Kel wants to go back to the Feywild because Kel has a little knack, a little ability, and that is, if he knows somebody, he can find them. And the better he knows them, the more sure he is of where they are. And all he has to do is get back to the Feywild. Anyway, let's go back to the backstory. They make this big score, and it's like it's time to be done, and they'll never have to work again. They can spend all their time chasing away back into the Feywild so that Kel can get back home and all of that. And in the morning, after they celebrate the big score, Kel wakes up to the guard pounding on the door. Sheldon is gone, and he has all the loot. He manages to get out of that situation. And now it's 10 years later, and here he is in Waterdeep, and he has been basically called to do a job for somebody. It's not really told what it is. It's just he is told that he will get what he wants. And he shows up to that meeting room, and who's sitting across the table but Sheldon, his old partner, who ratted him out to the guard and left him in the lurch 10 years ago.
Betrayal!
Drama.
This is so exciting. Look, obviously, I'm salivating at the opportunity to read the book. The cover is so beautiful, everyone. Definitely follow that link because the cover is gorgeous.
Yeah, the cover is by Alyssa Winans. She did the illustrations for my short stories, Saint Valentine, Saint Abigail, Saint Bridget, and Ivy Angelica Bay. I was like super, super excited when I found out that she was actually going to get to do a book cover for me.
So
And like that one
exciting.
is gorgeous. It's so cute. That's Sheldon is on the left and Kella's on the right with the
So
fiddle and
look,
everything.
and it's a romantasy. So I mean, we know you are going to have some romance there, but also
Yeah.
your books generally do feature some romance, sometimes more than some, sometimes a lot
Hmm.
of romance,
Hmm.
which I am drawn to in your, it's like the Kingston cycle. Every book has a new pairing, and also we get to see our previous couple like throughout those books. I love your dexterity with that. And of course, we're in this moment in which like romantasy is the buzzword. It's a great little marketing term coming out of the reader space and being used by publishers to describe a thing that was already happening, right? You've been writing these kinds of books for a long time. This isn't
Mm.
like you started doing it overnight, but you're coming into this like perfect intersection, if I can use that word again, of a moment when the audience is hungry. It's I think we've been hungry for these sorts of books, but the publishing world was not seeing that desire
Right.
for sundry assorted reasons, which we could get into. But you're primed. Is this just feel like a culmination for you to get to a place where you're writing for Wizards of the Coast, uh, a company that you've played their games since the beginning,
Since the
and
beginning.
you're bringing your powerhouse skills as an author of fantasy romance to the table? It feels
I,
big, Chelsea.
I mean, it might be big. I think also like it isn't. I didn't really do a lot of the like. I didn't start with the circumstance that I think a lot of like romance plot novels do, because the thing is that it's not about their initial attraction. It's not about them resisting this delicious stranger.
Mm,
It is
mm,
about the fact that they have this history, and it's ugly. Sheldon betrayed Cal, and Cal is rightfully angry about this. And it's 10 years later, and he has gray in his hair, gray in his beard, gray in his chest hair. Like 10 years has gone by for
yes.
him. And sitting across the table is Sheldon, who has longer hair than the last time they met him. And so it kind of looks like, I paid and you didn't. And so basically a lot of where, the romance beats would be is about them just trying to get along long enough to get through this job, and a little bit of big fish is what I want to say. Because everybody around them knows that whatever else is going on between them, there are feelings, because it wouldn't be this vicious if there weren't feelings. And so people do what they have to do in order to help them see that it's not just like a business deal gone bad, which basically, like, I don't want to tell you the whole thing, right? But like, they have to kind of wrestle with the fact that 10
Mm.
years ago they were in love with each other, and Sheldon just bugged out, just left without a word. And so they have to deal with all of that and the
Ah,
reasons why. And so it isn't really like I like it. It's more almost like a second chance romance, except they never
mm.
had a romance in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but it's got some of those vibes because you have the betrayal and you have the like need to repair the relationship. Look, it's very juicy. I'm so excited. It also sounds incredibly queer, which makes me deeply happy, of course. And as most of, I would say, all of your books are very queer in their way. I was just thinking of Midnight Bargain. Whilst the main couple are not queer, at least queer facing on the surface, you have a lot of queerness even in that book. So this
Yeah.
is a theme of your writing, I think, to
Hmm.
grapple with
Hmm.
these queer relationships and their complexity. Um, through that fantasy lens. And it's so, you do handle it with such gracefulness and depth of emotion. Your final book in the Kingston trilogy is such a great example of that, because you've had this like lengthy separation between the primary romantic couple, and they have a lot of repairing to do in their relationship. So
Yeah.
not with this kind of betrayal though, like
No, no,
so,
no.
so
Like
spicy and
that wasn't their
delicious.
fault.
No. So here we are, 10 years, betrayal, magic, and like the consequences all on the table. I think this has got to be like a really fiery read. Like, it's going to be a lot of fun. When
I
you've
hope so.
talked about these characters quite a bit for us, which thank you so much. You
Right.
mentioned creating their character sheets, which is a
Yes.
D&D like tradition. For those who do not play D&D, you get these sheets with all of these statistics that represent your characters' skills and like baseline talents, so what they know, what they've learned, what they could have the capacity to do, and some background things. And it's really fun for me. It's one of my favorite parts of D&D is the character creation part. Did you do a sheet for every character in your book?
Like not every single character. Like I did character sheets for my adventuring party. So Sheldon, Cal, Jubilee, and Lorzok. And I did character sheets for like other people. Like Jubilee, Jubilee's parents, who are retired famous adventurers, because there's a thing in the 2014 and the 2024 where you can have backgrounds. And the one that I picked for her was Adventurers Scion. Um, and that her reaction, hi, and that her reaction to this whole thing is like basically, my parents are famous adventurers, like famous, like their name is gold in this town, and like I'm always going to feel like I'm kind of coasting on their reputation.
Mm, mm.
And so she's always like trying to do things covertly, like as herself, right? And her plan is that basically she is going to become this great adventurer, great renown and repute, and then she can basically be like, oh yeah, by the way.
By the way, these are my parents. Oh my
Right.
gosh. So
And
welcome, Grand Arbiter. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for popping in, you beautiful
Yes, of
little
course, of course. I had to
yes.
escape my tomb, but you know.
You made it. We're just
Right.
discussing. This is a great opportunity for me to let anyone know who's just joining. We are discussing Chelsea's upcoming book, which I'm very excited about, The Feywild Job, that Chelsea is writing using the IP from Wizards of the Coast famous game Dungeons and Dragons. So we're all very excited.
Very
Chelsea, this
excited.
sounds so incredible. And I love this conceit that you created their backgrounds using the character sheets, as well as, of
Yes.
course, fleshing out their backstories as you would as an author.
Mhm. And it's funny too, because when I was writing the book and I was like doing things, because I wanted to blend it in so that like people who don't know D&D would read the book and they would be able to be like, okay, well, I know what's going on. But I wanted to write it so that anybody who did play D&D, or played BG3, because of course, like there are a lot of people who play Baldur's Gate 3 who have never actually sat down to play tabletop D&D, but
Right.
they're
Yeah.
also very familiar with like what you can do and the world and all of that stuff. They could read it and go, oh, I know what you did there. I know what spell you use
Yes.
there. I know what ability that is. I was like, wait, how did they get the really expensive gem in order to cast that spell? Like, and so I had a lot of fun trying to like seam that in without, without like coming out and being like, so there's no dice rolling in the background unless your ears are tuned to a certain frequency. So every time I used an ability, I like made a note in the comment for the editor to see that like this is the spell that I used, and these like this it has a verbal, somatic, and material component and stuff. And so I had a lot of fun like writing those things in.
That's so
Um,
exciting. It's what's kind of fun when you're using other people's IP is that you do get to like riff on their own interpretations of how this is played out. And so that's sort of what makes D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and specifically the Forgotten Realms so attractive, is that there's so much to play off of, and so much that already exists, but that has so much more depth to game.
yes, yes, and I really wanted to do like that because like the thing is that everybody or nearly everybody, or maybe I should just say a lot of people, a lot of people who like played D&D and had an interest in writing probably had an urge to write like, you know, based on their campaign adventures maybe, or like just in the world of that story they wanted to like write their own story inside of it, kind of like that. Like I'm pretty sure everybody wanted to do that. And the thing is like from the beginning, you know, back in the day when we were playing Temple of Elemental Evil with like three players and a GM, and in what is like a notorious have a backup character sheet ready kind of campaign, like a real grinder. Um, I wanted our characters to form relational attachments with the people in the town that we kept going back to, um you know, to sell our stuff and to like get stuff and all of this like other things that we were doing while we were going back and forth raiding the Temple of Elemental Evil. I wanted us to have like relationships with the people kind of thing. And I was kind of looking for, you know, some handsome swashbuckling rogue lady to like smooch. But like, of course, the GM was not having any of that. I just thought it was so silly because it would be like a really great, it was a really great environment for you to have like one of those like really silly like we're gonna like make eyes at each other across the room and we're gonna like, you know, blow kisses and bestow favors before you go off on the adventure or whatever. And like of course it didn't happen, and I was like, well, I'm gonna write my own D&D story with like smooching and swashbuckling and acts of
Yes.
daring do. But of course I didn't, because it was IP and I wouldn't, you know, like it was
Right,
just
right.
the thing. So to be offered the chance to do it,
To do it
yes,
and with smooching.
and with smooching, yeah,
So good.
there's smooching. It's my usual kind of thing where, you know, people get to kiss and stuff, and then like it once it gets to a certain point, we're like, okay, we know what they're gonna do. Let's just close the door and leave them to it. Um, I probably could have written it a little bit spicier than I did, but I did not.
I think that it's one of those things where it's also like your audience is really wide for this kind of book. So it's, and because of that, you gotta keep it a little bit more.
Right? Don't scare the horses.
Don't scare the horses. But also, like, this is such a beautiful time. In a world that has lots and lots of challenges. I don't want to like pretend like everything's hunky dory, but there's such a golden age of tabletop role playing happening right now. You do have
Mhm.
games like Baldur's Gate 3 out and available for people, but also you have scads of like resources for D&D and all of these live plays happening on things like Dropout and on
Mhm.
YouTube, where people can learn more about the games, and great conversation going on about how to make tables a more welcoming and safe space for more diverse group of players. I love all of that. And paired with the like sort of popularity of romantasy, there's an acknowledgement that not everyone who plays D&D wants the same sort of campaign with no smooching and no like swashbuckler in the town. So I'm very excited because those are things when I was playing D&D I also wanted. And not just because I like smooching, but because I study social sciences and it always felt very empty not to have those relationship aspects explored in a game about people doing things together.
Right.
So, would you expand a little bit on your like experience of bringing those relationship elements to the table with your like you made a campaign into your book. Oh, I'm so
Right.
excited.
Well, I think sometimes I'm a little bit guilty of having my characters be like almost like intrepid orphans, like they don't really have a lot of family connections, or, they have a dad that everybody wants to see drowned in a bucket by the end of book three. That kind of a thing, right? And then of course Sheldon has no relationship with their parents at all. Like they took off when they were a kid
Mm,
with new warlock power and stuff like that. But like Jubilee has a family. She has a mom and a dad, and she has a brother and a sister. Her brother is like a student of wizardry at Blackstaff Academy, which is how you know that he is really good and has a lot of potential and will go far.
yes.
And her sister is like 4 and just cute as a button, right? But like her mom is rogue and her dad is a paladin, and like they were adventuring together with like 2 other people, and they coupled up basically, and they're famous, right? Like they're talking about like, well, like which of the songs that were written about your exploits is my favorite kind of thing. And it's Pickled Garlic and True Love, which is the story of how Serenity's Surefingers the thief cleverly rescued Bastion Right Hoof, the paladin, from a vampire. And stuff. And then they were talking about this. Of course she was talking about this to Kel, right, who is a bard. And I was like, yeah, that's a good one. The chorus is a mud thumper. And like Jubilee comes along and goes, what about Under Martin Light? And they both say too weepy at the same time. It's really cute. Like I really love like the like being able to write a character who has a family, and there aren't really any huge problems. Like, their dad is not a despot, like, determined to like grab every single gold mark in the entire world and be like, this is all mine. Like, it was kind of great to be able to like write like that kind of a family for Jubilee, and for Kel in turn. um he also had a family who loved him and took care of him, that he was torn from because of the Hungry War.
Mm, mm.
And so it was kind of fun to do that, to kind of have these people around the adventurers lives who they could relate to, that they could come home to, that they could talk about their problems with, who they could hide their problems from because they didn't want to bother anyone. Like, I kind of really enjoyed that. I also kind of love the idea of like, well, we got to do this thing and it's probably going to hurt this person that we do it, but we have to do it because of this. What do we do? Right? And so I had a bit of fun doing that, and like I also had a fun time kind of writing this team, because it could have been like Sheldon and their partner Jubilee versus Kel and his partner Lorzok, but Lorzok is way too much of a cinnamon roll for that nonsense. He is an orc, druid, steward of the land. He regularly has speak to animals on. He gossips with birds. and,
I love gossiping with birds. This is
and
so delightful. Also, having your orc be the cinnamon roll. I mean,
yeah,
I love a
he
cinnamon roll anyway.
he is adorable. And at some point, somebody is just like, he's sensible, Sheldon. You should probably marry him. Oh, but maybe he's too sensible to marry you. Like, it was just like this
Oh,
big insult kind of thing. And like Lorzok did not take kindly to it. It's like, don't hurt my friend's feelings. I don't like it. Um, but yeah, he is super adorable. He's kind all the time. He isn't just like neutral good. He's kind all the time. And if he's mad at you, it's because you're being unkind. It's I love Lorzok. I think he's really awesome. Um
Ah,
and so like I just really love that. And one of the first things, because like it starts out in the city of Waterdeep, but they have to go to the Feywild as part of their big heist operation, because their heist is they have to steal this magic gem that was stolen from a small domain in the Feywild, and then they have to go back to that small domain in the Feywild and put it back before anybody notices that it's gone. So they got to do this really quickly. Um, and in the course of doing that, once they get to the Feywild, one of the very first things that Lorzok does is he casts a Find Familiar spell. And the animal that shows up because he casts this Find Familiar spell is an Almiraj, which is like a bunny with a unicorn horn on his head. And his name is the impatient made small under moonlight. That is his name. And everybody's like, okay, that's really long. Can we call you Tim some? So, Tim. And he goes, I say, Tim Tim. I
Tim
was like, so
Tim.
his name is Tim Tim, and he is so cute. And he knows when people are being rude, and he exhibits disapproving bunny behavior at them. And he knows when people kind of might need somebody to hug. And so he goes over and he's like, can I be your emotional support, Fluffy? He's
Oh
adorable.
no.
He's
Oh no.
adorable. And
He
he has a
sounds
backstory, and
amazing.
nobody gets to know what it is.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Grand Arbiter, you are muted,
Yeah,
my
yeah. No, I
darling.
had the refuse truck was outside.
Oh,
Oh
cute.
no.
Uh, so when can we? Are we are? I think you've gotten Madame Askew all hyped up. When
Yes.
can we sort of hope to see this book out in the wild?
It is being released on the 30th of June. It is hardcover, ebook, and audiobook, I think all simultaneous release on the 30th of June.
Very exciting.
Uh,
Very
I
exciting.
I'm really hoping that people have a good time with this one. One of the things that I'm really glad about is that it is kind of a soft and cozy adventure, right? Like you can get in it and you're like, okay, well, here I am in Faerun,
Yeah.
which can have like huge, huge, huge problems. Don't get me wrong. But in proportion, these problems are small. These problems are personal, they're interpersonal. So it kind of feels like, it's a good 6 or 7 hours where you can just sit down and you can read about other people being really stupid about their feelings.
And sometimes that's exactly what you want is also you can watch them be stupid about their feelings and then figure things out because you, the author, are going to take us on an adventure that resolves some things, which is always very satisfying as a reader.
Mhm.
I do have a question for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, actually, I have many. I mean, we invited you on just so I could ask you questions. I make it sound like this is so surprising. I have a question, but did writing for this IP and specifically writing in the world of D&D, where you've got these sorts of like conventions of character and adventuring party and the classes and all of this, did it change your approach to writing and developing the plot of the story, or did you just use your same uh, normal approach to creating a novel?
I actually did it in a completely different way, because the thing about writing an IP, and this was the thing that I had the most hesitation around, was that you have to write an outline, and then you have to give the outline to people. I
Yeah,
had to give my outline, to my editor at Random House Worlds, and then once we worked through that outline, then we gave it to Wizards of the Coast, and their D&D experts went to it, and then I had a meeting with them. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, this is my problem, right? I hate outlines. I hate them. I would rather eat my own toes than write an outline. Like I can't do
yeah.
it. I cannot do it. Like I hate them. And my editor was like, can you write a synopsis? I was like, I can write a synopsis all day long. Like, just watch me, let me at it. And so she said, Well, can you just write me a short 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs, however long it takes, synopsis of what it is that you want to do, and then we'll figure out what to do about the outline. And I was like, okay, sure. So I just wrote something down and I gave it to her, and she's like, okay, I love this. This is great. What if blah? How about if blah? And I was like, oh, okay. So I came back and I like wrote that and I filled it into the synopsis. So of course it was longer. And I said, well, okay, it's longer. I'm really sorry. And it's like, oh, no, no, that's fine. Let's have a look at it. It's like, oh, this is really great. Can I ask a question about this? What about this? Oh, and this third point over here. And I was like, okay. So I took it back and then I like answered all of those questions and I thought, oh, you know what would be really good? And then I like did that. And then it was 800 words long. And I was like, okay, I still have the weekend to think about it. She wants to see it on Monday. And then I went back and I wrote more stuff. And so I handed her a 1,300 word outline. And then she came back and she was like, what about this? What about this? What about this? So when I started writing, instead of an outline, what I had was a 7-page document that was basically the story writ small. And she fooled me. She utterly like conned me into doing this.
This is
I didn't.
amazing, though. For those of us who are not outline people, I'm not really an outliner myself. This is a great approach to sort of get tricked into outline.
And the thing is that like, because it's like when I started with this synopsis and then the more I expanded it, the more I got into the details, the more I was like basically getting down into the plot points that one would put in like the structure outline of a thing without those pesky bullet points, right? Like it was all
Mm,
just kind of expository narrative with like moments of dialogue because it was like this is a key thing that people say in this particular scene. I realized that I was holding like a very, very short version of the novel that I was going to write. Like I knew how the story went, but I didn't actually feel all that constrained by it because the thing is that it was only 11 pages. I needed to write
mm,
400. There was so much more to do.
yeah.
And so now I think this is my process. I think this is what
Yeah.
I
Oh,
do.
Well,
I
and I
think I
think
am now the person who writes the really long detailed synopsis before writing the book because it
I
was so helpful.
I think that also one of the things that I think is very challenging sometimes, particularly when working with a business like Wizards of the Coast, is that there's a lot of like hands in that pot, right? There's a lot
Mhm.
of people that you're involved with, and a lot of IP that you have to protect that you're responsible for
Mhm.
when you're doing the writing, and they want to know what you're going to do, so they want
And
some kind of idea of what you're going to do.
they wanted to know what I was going to do. And one of the things that I said was like, okay, there's some stuff about the Feywild that I kind of wish I knew, like this and that and the other thing and this. And I was like, is there anything like, is there a domain in the Feywild large enough to be considered a city? And they were like, not until you write us one. And I'm like, I'm gonna what?
oh, you got to create it. Oh,
Yes. And I came up with an idea and I think it's really neat actually because of the way that I was kind of visualizing what the Feywild is and what it like how it works. And it's like very much a place where your idea of what is there
yeah.
shapes what is there. And that like left alone, it's going to do whatever it is that it's going to do. Once somebody comes into the state to observe it, it takes shape around that person's expectations, is the way that I decided that I wanted to do this. And so it like it's your emotional state, right? Like if you are afraid, the Feywild will respond with, well, you're scared. I got to make sure that I'm giving you a scary environment.
Oh,
Oh,
Really
yeah.
don't. But the lesson is Madame Askew is not allowed to go to the Feywild.
Yeah. And so, like, I kind of had fun with that. And then I realized fairly quickly that, you know, it's not a stable place. Like, yeah, there are domains within the Feywild and they are anchored by the will of a particularly strong person. to basically say like this little pocket of reality is like this and that is how it's going to stay. And like I had a concern about this because this is basically the concept that I had for like where the amaranthines live in the Kingston cycle. Like this is basically that. Like my death angel fairies live in an environment that is just like this, that basically shifts and changes according to like what the observer thinks ought to be there. But like it's okay, like it's fine, I can do that. So I made this differentiation where, you know, we're talking about the Feywild and it is the plane, it's the place, and that within that place there are domains that are basically stable, like held by the will of an archfey who's like incredibly powerful. And all of the spaces in between that I called the true wild. And
It's
so, and that
it's
the rules, like the rules of navigation, is like, where's north? It doesn't matter. Where do you want to go? And how difficult do you think it's going to be to get there?
Oh, my goodness.
And so,
This is
like,
so juicy.
I had a lot of fun doing these kinds of things, like basically, like how are people feeling? Well, what is their surroundings doing around them, kind of thing. And like when I first started doing it, you know, and I'm trying to get it to make it clear to the reader that the way people feel is shaping what they see and what is happening around them. And it's also kind of like there is a definition of magic in the world of the idea of you basically taking this notion that space and time and the universe is malleable and that you can make it do what you want if you are skilled enough at wanting in a particular way.
Mm, mm.
Um, and so I just kind of took that and I was like, okay, this is how it works, right? Like, but like really, really dramatically with reality. You just decide that something is a thing and then it is that thing. And so I had a lot of fun with that. And I also um had this idea because my city is like it has a center, and then what's happening is that other people have like basically attached their domains to it, so it's like a quilt. And my inspiration for that was Victoria, British Columbia, which is not actually just Victoria. It's like a collection of about a dozen different municipalities that are literally border each other, like cross the street and you're in a totally different municipality with different municipal rules. You can be going down the same street, driving down the same street from like the north end of this mess all the way down to the south end where Victoria proper actually is. And the name of the street changes depending on what municipality it is. And that there is a certain amount of friction between all of these municipalities trying to assert their individuality when they're all crammed together cheek by jowl. That I was like, oh, I love that. Like it's juicy, right? And so I did that when I created 8Bridge. I had this city and then all of these other domains that are like right next to it. And that, you
This
know, when you
is
go over the border into those, and the thing is that I say 8Bridge, but there's lots of bridges because a lot of people have decided to attach their domain to it. So it is like it's a quilt. It's a quilt of domains, and that you can go into them or you can like travel through them freely, or you can't even see them unless you're permitted to see them. And so it's kind of like being in a dream. You know how, you know, you're in a dream of town and you go down the street and you do this and you turn around and your town is completely different. I wanted to write that. And so I did.
so you did. And like, look, I mean, how does it feel to know that you are adding to the actual lore of D&D and that people are going to read your book and potentially be inspired to take this into their own campaigns on their own tabletops?
I can't tell you about a detail in the book, but it kind of feels like the Empire of the Oak. That's all I'm going to say. You can
Oh.
figure out what that is later.
Oh.
Oh, secrets, secrets. Um, So we are so excited for your book. I know that everyone is going to be clamoring down. I know that Madam Askew is going to be shaking me down to ensure that she has a copy before as soon as possible. And she'll want a fancy one that she can get signed later. I already hear it in her head. Her like, oh, I need it. Well, I need the hardback one. I need it.
But I am having a very significant birthday this year, so I feel like I can leverage that
I
for
really
more
like that this
books.
is going to be the birthday in which you leverage everything. Is the
It's true. I've never been more mercenary about my birthday, I think, in my life. I'm like, I'm having a big birthday. Don't I need nice things every day? Because birthdays.
it's my birthday is in March, but
It's fine.
it's January in the year of my birth.
That's correct.
This was a year I lived in.
So excited. Now, in the comments, Gone Mistress is mentioning like she's already shared your book and the link in Discord, like a cozy fantasy Discord she participates in called Meg's Tea Room, and like talking about getting arcs out and which advanced reader copies for those who are like, what in the blazes is an arc? What is part of your process? I mean, like, look, this is our process. We like to have you on so we can talk about the cool things you're doing. This is how we like to engage with our friends who make art and to help promote their art. But promotion is part of the adventure of being an artist. And with traditional publishing houses, I know there's kind of a rhythm to these things, but you're working with Wizards of the Coast and D&D. Has that shifted some of the ways that this is being promoted, or is it like your more standard book promotion experience?
Okay, so how do I put this? Like a lot of people, like when you have a cover reveal, like sometimes it's a little bit of an occasion, like when you get the cover and it's
Yeah.
revealed and stuff like that. And like the venue in which the cover is revealed will probably give you a little bit of a hint about how the marketing is going, like what they want to do to position your book with that. My cover reveal was in Cosmopolitan magazine.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Best horoscopes in print, baby. I just like I was when they told me, I kind of like I stopped for a second. I was just like, wait a minute. Cosmopolitan magazine, April 1972, Burt Reynolds, Cosmopolitan magazine. Yes.
Oh my gosh, look, that feels huge.
I never even imagined.
Cosmo is not what it was in 1985 necessarily, and also the audience of people reading it and society has changed. But I love that Cosmo's like, we're going to have this D&D romantasy book because D&D and romantasy are like hot and our readers are into it the way they were into Burt Reynolds in 1972. And I just think that's so cool, Chelsea. How exciting to be in Cosmo. What?
I never even thought to think, like I never even thought to like basically be like, oh yeah, and like I should manifest a cover reveal in Cosmo. Like what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And
Well, it's such a beautiful cover too. Like it's such a stunning cover.
I love it.
so
I
beautiful.
really like
It's
it's so
so
cool.
gorgeous. Before I even knew anything about the synopsis, the characters, your process, any of it, when I was just like, oh yeah, Chelsea's got a new book coming out. Here's the link. I was like, oh, this cover is so gorgeous. I'm just
It
like,
is.
I
It's so pretty.
immediately, it makes me want to read the book. And we all know the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. That's good advice in some profound ways, but a good cover does draw you in to the book. And
Mhm.
this is a great cover. Your cover artist just like nailed
I
it.
have been so lucky with book covers. So lucky because like they're not just beautiful, but they are really excellent at communicating what to expect
Yeah. Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
read the book. Like it's just like I why am I so lucky? I guess I shouldn't question it. I think I should just, feel fortunate because like
Yes.
this cover
Yes.
is so great because it has that like the color, the composition, the style, the kind of like the oil pastel feeling of it all. I just I just think it's really great. Like it's beautiful and it's got a little bit of that like that lurking deep chthonic mystery going on like on the margins because those flowers are mushrooms and I'm just kind of like when I look at it I just kind of freak out a little bit. Like in the background it's like the fizzy stuff that is like a waterfall. The two trees that have grown together to create a bridge that they're sitting on, that's in the book.
Oh, oh my
like
gosh.
like literally the them bridge, water underneath it. Like I can't even tell you. Like it is iconography. This is a fantastic, like it is tarot card level for the book. And I
Oh my
can't
gosh.
explain. You have to read it and then look at the cover and be like, oh, this and this. And like, I don't
Yeah.
know how she
Yeah.
did it. It's genius. It's
Oh,
genius.
this is so great. In fact, look, Scott Mistress asked, could we put the book on docket for book club 2027? Scott Mistress, I suspect you can easily convince Bill Button and I to include this book in the reading list. So I'm very excited to read it. So you know, twist my arm. But no, the cover is just stunning, and I love this description of it as being like a tarot card level iconography for the story. You're right. Every one of your book covers has been beautiful. I've loved all of them. And but there's something about this one, and maybe it's because I'm an avid fantasy reader and I have been my entire reading life. Perhaps it's because I just love D&D so much, but just it's so gorgeous. And I just want to like the Grand Abbot is right. I do want the hardback. He's right. I am going to like make goo goo eyes, but also I love this. We need 6 months to read the book, so we have plenty of time. Sky Mistress, this is a book I'm going to read in a weekend. I can already tell. I'll just stay up all night reading it.
I mean,
Um,
when I was trying to do my like I must like analyze the story and make sure that it's da 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 da. So I kept doing this thing where I forgot I was supposed to be reading it critically, and I was just reading it. I'm like, when did I stop doing my job? And then I have to go back to figure out like where I forgot to look at it critically because I was getting sucked in by my own book. Um,
what a feeling, though. I mean, like, look, I have run campaigns at the I've been in the GM seat at for a tabletop game on multiple occasions, and I think it's such a great moment as the game master when you're just like also so like captured by the story that you're
mhm.
not sitting back, you're very present, and it feels like you're not really running a campaign with characters like rolling dice and things, but your characters in the novel are like your campaign characters. They're taking you on a bit of adventure too. And how glorious it is as the author to be drawn in that same way to the story. Like, does that happen to you with your other novels when you're going in and editing them? Or is this like a very new experience?
Yeah, like I've had this before. And I mean, I do have it to some extent with all of the books that I write. But Witchmark, my first book, was so difficult for me to edit. It was so difficult for me to edit because I kept just reading it. I was like, dang it. And so I would have to go back, like literally to the last spot where I made a comment and then just be like, okay, well, where did I slip? Right. And it wouldn't be very far past that. And it would just be like, I actually had to read it out loud to keep my brain from going like tunneling straight into the book. It was so
Oh,
hard because like I was writing exactly what I needed to read and it was working on me.
oh my gosh. No, look, I love that for you. I love your books. So I love it for me as a fan of your work and a reader, because you do make very compulsively readable books. Like I have devoured every one of your books. If I open it up, I know that I should probably clear my decks because I am going to make bad choices and nothing else is going to get done. I'm just going to read the book. I tell myself I'm going to savor it, tell myself I'm going to take time, and then the next thing I know, I've started the midnight bargain and it's done and it's 3 a.m. and I'm, questioning my life. So that
Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
like, I'm very sorry about your morning, but that is kind of like, I kind of get this. Yes,
I
I
mean,
am the sleep stealer. I
she
am the
Wow.
chore stealer.
Natoskew gets so much joy, and then it's not really her paying the price, just so we're clear. She does not pay the price for the morning. The resident, I'm not a morning person, but I'm designated morning person.
Yes, that's true. That's
And
true.
so I suffer.
That's true. You
So,
do. That's so
so
kind
that
of you to
she may
suffer for me.
read, I suffer. Well, we're on our last 13 minutes
Okay.
before we close up shop for the day.
And normally in this time, traditionally I do my sort of revamped Proust questionnaire, which you've answered before, and
Yeah.
we had such a great chat about it. But I was thinking it might be fun to take a stab at doing this a little bit off the cuff, revamp it again for your wonderful romantasy D&D adventure. And so to
Yes.
focus this on some like rapid fire D&D romantasy directed questions. So
All
let's
right.
see how we get on, because you have, I think, successfully whetted all of our appetites. All I want to do is read this book like right now. I can wait until June 30th, but I will be pre-ordering. Yes, Grandmaster.
I am prepared with my sort of fantastical questionnaire if you are interested.
Oh, would you like to give it a whirl, Grand Arbiter?
Yes.
I cede the
Let's.
stage to you.
Okay, I'm going to start with some questions about. We're just going to focus on your love of D&D, and we're going to be focusing on your novel. So we're just going to ask some
Right.
very basic D&D questions. First
Okay.
of all, what do you think is your personal alignment? Where do you fall?
I mean, I think probably I'm gonna have to go with neutral good because I have like strong chaotic good tendencies, but I wait at traffic lights. I'm the kind of person where it's like if there is a rule and I think that rule is good, I will follow it like the most annoying paladin you ever met,
Yeah, no,
right?
that's very neutral.
But like if I think a rule is dumb, I'm going to break it. And I'm
Yeah.
not just going to break it. I'm going to break it while shouting at the top of my lungs that I'm breaking it because the rule is stupid. And like there isn't really much in between.
Um, what would you say would be your signature spell if you were a
my
magic user?
my
Like the
signature
one that
spell,
you
if I
always go
were a
to, your
magic
go-to
user, the
spell.
my go-to spell would be fireball. No, I'm lying. I think my go-to spell would be prestidigitation,
Mm,
actually.
mm, mm.
Because just so we're clear, if you haven't seen Frieren yet, you should. It's a great anime. If it's amazing, the lesson of magic users is you want magic that it makes life easier, not magic that makes you powerful.
Yes. But I
Um,
think prestidigitation, because it's a little spell and it does these little things. But how many times have you been trying to talk fast because you were trying to do something and there is like a thing that if they see that thing, the jig is going to be up. Wouldn't it be great to have a cantrip where you can hide the thing and you can keep bullshitting your way through the whole thing? Yes, it would be.
I love that. That's so great. And it's such a great versatile cantrip. I like it. You can use it for everything. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
okay. What class do you think exemplifies your personality? Not the one you want to play, the one that speaks to your spirit.
I think it's kind of is it really a cheap cop out if I say bard?
I mean, it's
It
not a
is,
cheap
isn't
cop
it?
out.
It
It is a
is.
cop out, but it's not a cheap one.
I
She's
mean,
quite
But
right.
also, I mean,
it makes
sometimes it's
sense,
just true. Like you've done your time as a ranger and a thief, and now you've made it to bard. You should
right?
embrace it.
And now I get to I get to swan about flamboyantly and say things like that reminds me of a story, and somebody in the back will be like, "Oh no."
Um, if uh, if you were to meet a magical traditional D&D monster, which one would you want to adopt
The like
as a
an
pet?
odd couple, like, oh gosh, that I like.
Sorry, I
I
brought
have
this
a
down.
roommate slash house pet, and it is a displacer beast.
I thought it might be. I thought it might be.
Just I don't know why they're ugly cute. I think they
I mean, also displacer kittens are adorable.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
It was that or
displacer.
a tressum because we
Oh,
got to keep that cat stereotype alive.
yes. Um,
Yes.
um, if you could, um, uh, if you could change one spell or one ability in D&D to go to have in real life, other than, let me rephrase. I'm sorry. I'm like losing myself because I'm like, there's too much going on. Um, uh, if you were a masked Lord of Waterdeep, what would be your dramatic title?
What would be my dramatic title if I were a masked Lord of Waterdeep and I was like running around in my mask? I think, oh gosh, I didn't think about this. I think I would be. I want. I want to say something cheesy. Like I'm trying to get at it. It's like I would be the one who wants to look underneath the things. I want to be the one who looks underneath the things. So I would be like the Lord of subtext, the Lord of the deeper meaning.
Ooh, Lord of the Deeper Meaning. Manosky will just be back. She just had to disappear for a moment.
Hi.
So CL is saying they'd be the Lord of Deeper Meaning.
Ooh. Oh, that's so good. I
As
love
you
that.
as you have been banished by our friendly neighborhood tech nightmare, why don't you take a few of the last questions?
Oh, all right. Great. So excellent. We've gone over your Lord of Waterdeep. We've talked about your class. We've talked about a spell and a little creature that you might adopt. What is the piece of kit that you would have as an essential item in your adventurer's pack?
Okay, so Sheldon has this particular item, and I don't actually remember what it's called. I read the description and I was like, that is absolutely what they have. I think it is called the Armor of Seeming.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I love that. That's the armor that can like transform as they need to transform themselves, which
Right?
how handy. Like, look, I love that, infinite holding space that you can have and all of those things. The bag of holding is so great, but being able to infinitely change your armor to
Like a
go
set
with
of plus
your
two leather armor that can look whatever you want. Capsule wardrobe. I don't know her.
no, 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 to be able to look infinitely fabulous. How delightful.
Right?
Um,
Best magic item
all
in the
right.
game.
So, uh, what is your moment of absolute happiness, or maybe not absolute happiness, but of peak happiness at the gaming table? What is the thing that brings you the most joy when you are like playing D&D yourself?
Um, sometimes this is sometimes this is kind of like this doesn't happen very often, but I was in a D&D game. It must have been like 10 years ago or whatever. And what ended up happening was like that same kind of that situation, you come into a town with an odd mile in and everybody just happens to be there. And it turns out that they're having some kind of trouble with a marauding band of corrupt city officials or whatever the heck it is. Um, and I think it was like basically like that. It was like literally that setup, and that like everybody was poor, right? And they were all freaked out because we like had starting gold, which was like a crazy amount of money. When you really think about it, it is a crazy amount of money as far as like all of these other people are concerned. And like we were there, we were in the inn, and we did a thing. And when we came back, we had all this loot, and they said, "We can't buy this off you. We do not have enough wealth." And we all kind of got super mad about that. And we took it to the big city and we sold it all off. And we came back with the money and completely altered their economy.
That's crazy. That's so
That's
We
so.
did.
exciting.
I love those kinds of moments in gameplay. They're so delightful. They're profound in this way that we look at the world and we're bringing that with us to the table. Like, this is an injustice and we can fix it in our game. I love that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was just like, it was like, well, we never really have any money because like we like got assessed for this amount of tax. This is
yeah.
what happens when your GM is like a political science student, right? It's like we
Yeah.
get assessed for this amount of tax, and it's like, what? That's bullshit. No. And so we came back, we paid their back taxes, and then we basically put in like it was like the equivalent of an investment fund. Like we gave the owner of the inn a whole bunch of money so that they would be able to like continue renovations and like do improvements and stuff. And he's like, well, I'm an odd mile in, nobody's going to come here. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean that you have to live in a shack and like eat 3-day old mutton. Like you can do better than this. And we basically spread it across the town. And and then we went away to do another adventure, and we came back, and the town was like, oh yeah, we have a mill now. Somebody decided that they wanted to get sheep, and they ended up buying sheep that had a particularly excellent crimp of wool. And now we have like a spinning industry and a weaving industry. And it was just like, and we bought a mill for the river. And it was just kind of like, we did this. We did this. Like, what would we have spent this on? Like, we would have spent it on, like, I don't know, like boots of Elvenkind. But instead, what we did is we altered the economy of a sleepy little town with an odd mile in.
What's more magical than socialism?
Socialism
Absolutely.
is magic. It really is.
Just roll
um,
the 20 and add your political science multiplier to it.
Oof,
Um,
right.
well, we are at time.
we
Okay.
are This was beautiful. What a great way to wrap up an absolutely stunning conversation. I love that we got to announce your book and share it with everyone. I'm so excited for this book. I think that has come across. I just have had absolutely no chill. Chelsea, it's great to have you back on the show. I hope we can have you again in the not too distant future. But also, obviously, we need to add your book to some sort of reading list next year because everyone's very keen. As you're going out there into the world and you're sharing this great new piece of fiction, I hope you have many more moments like that Cosmo feature, and that you
Mhm.
get all of the support and love and excitement that I think this book really eminently deserves. You're a brilliant writer. It's lovely to have you here. And it's very exciting to watch you have more success and to be part of such a cool IP. I'm thrilled for you. So congratulations. And everyone, please remember, if you're an adventurer crew, sometimes what you really need to do is reinvest in that town just a mile off the road, because those ripples of kindness can clearly have a really big impact. A great lesson to leave the show on. So please treasure yourselves as we treasure you. Wash your hands, get your vaccines and boosters, eat your vitamins and minerals, and do something kind, like overthrowing a warlord in an elven town or reinvesting in the economy. Get those great boots for yourself, but also spread the kindness. Grand Arbiter, would you like to send us out?
As a common reminder, ice is always best crushed. Have a
Yes.
lovely evening, a rest of your day, everyone. We treasure you. Bye.
Cheers,
Bye.
everyone.